go. I brought my apprentice today with me, so I'm the apprentice and he's the master. So, Luke, you're gonna have to go and take a seat over there while your dad talks, waffles on. He doesn't buy into anything I say, so yeah. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to sort of keep it brief because I know you guys have been sitting for a long time in the planes. The last thing you want to do now is hear me rambling on for ages. We can go outside, have a good run out. What I decided to do, I was thinking, what should I cover? And what I decided to do is I thought I'd take out some principles from one of the books I've written. It's a best-selling book. I've written a number of books. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm just saying it because I've had, the opportunity, like Tony says, to work with some of the best athletes in the world, sports people, football teams, as a consultant, helping with the mind and physical preparation. I've been doing it for a long, long time, and I've sort of taken some extracts from the book and my own journey, my own experience of about 25 years experience now of studying human development, personal development, professional development through different modalities. Okay, so sports performance conditioning. I've been a teacher as well, and I studied psychology, NLP, hypnotherapy, many modalities, and I'm back studying again. I'm in neuroscience now. My goals have changed slightly. That's why I left professional football, because my goals have changed. My goals used to be around sport and business, and they still are now. I love sport and business, but now I'm sort of moving towards research, and I want to do my bit. I want to see if I can help find, I wouldn't say cures, but help do my bit through learning and research around neurological conditions. Anxiety, depression, they're the areas. It's pretty heavy stuff, and I do a lot of research and learning, and I'm studying again at one of the most prestigious universities in the world for what I do, and I'm very privileged to be there. I'm working hard, but I love sport and I love working with guys like yourselves and just to sort of help in any way I can. So I'm going to keep it short, and you just take what you want out of it. That's the way to do these things. You don't have to buy into everything I say, but if something works for you, then go for it. Okay? I don't know where the mic is here, so can everyone hear me okay, by the way? Okay, that's fine. You hear me without the mic? Yeah, okay, good stuff. Okay, sometimes people say I speak very quietly, but there we go. So that's sort of my intro. What I want to do today is give like seven sort of principles. Okay, why 7? Because it's what I come up with that I think is really powerful in respect to helping you go where you want to go. The first one's set goals. Okay, you've probably heard it before, set goals, and I've heard it 100 times before, but who actually set goals? Who sets goals in the group? You do. Okay, that's good. Okay, who doesn't set goals? Okay, there's a danger if you set a goal. What happens, you think? You might not achieve it. Okay, we're all afraid of not achieving our goal. I'm afraid of not achieving certain goals, and sometimes, I get up in the evening thinking maybe I've set too big a goal for me. Okay, but in saying that, if you don't achieve it, you grow. Okay, and sometimes you don't achieve it, but you achieve something better. So it's okay to fail. Okay, if you want to call it failure, because you get up and you go again. I've experienced it a lot in my career, in sport. I mean, you know what it's like. Some of you may not have tasted defeat. You lose 5 or 6-0. It's a horrible feeling. You work hard for it, and I've had it before, and I've had it where I work in professional football. We've had big defeats, and you hear on the radio people saying stuff, and they don't know how hard you're working and doing your best. But that's what they sort of see, and they've got every right to do that. But the reality is it's not always about winning. That's when you learn and you grow. So set goals. Write down where you want to be, specifically where you want to be, what level, okay? Whatever that level might be. Once you've done that, what you do is think of the people who can help you get there. Think of what it's going to feel like to be there. And go to the feeling first, is what I always say. So what's it feel like to be there? Because that trains the brain neurologically to know what it's like. It's like when you see the players say, I dreamt it as a 12-year-old when they scored that winning goal. I felt the crowd roaring. So see it, feel it, and hear it. Okay? And decide if it's really what you want to do. Some people like the idea of doing something. Some people like doing it. The amount of people I used to take on work experience when I used to work in professional football, a week in the life of me, because they said they'd like to do what I was doing, by the end of the week, it was like actually I want to do something else. They like the idea of being around professional football. They didn't like the idea of doing an 80-hour week, being up at midnight, getting up at 6 in the morning, driving long hours, being away from family. They didn't like that idea because that is perception. And that's the reality. You've got to love what you do. You've got to want it, not the idea, okay, I'm going to have this big house and all these hangers on around me, and that's what people think. And there is that, and there's players that have that, but there's two types of people: the ones who like the idea of doing it, the ones who want to do it. I know some of the best players I work with. I've been very fortunate to work with some of the best players. They would play for free out there on a Sunday morning if they weren't being paid what they got paid. They love the game so much. They just want to be there, just want to play. And you guys, keep that mentality. Because you're going to go through, the ones of you who do go on, you're going to go through people who are going to tell you things and build you up. And, I've seen it before. The player gets a first-year pro, and he thinks he's made it, an apprenticeship, and people are filling their head with stuff. And that's the thing that's important too. Remember the people who, we live in a world now where it's all about how many Facebook followers you can get, how many Twitter followers you can get. I can tell you now, there's probably a handful of people that would walk through brick walls for you. And don't do that. You put stuff out there, not a problem. But I'm saying people sort of forget that there's the real world. The real world is about knowing the people who want the best for you. And that sort of goes to my sort of third thing I want to talk about. Get around people who want the best for you. And you want the best for them. Okay? Now you're young, some of you guys, you might be watching session outside. You can wait. Okay, so we want to get around people who want the best for you. Okay? People who want the best for you, you want the best for them. Not those sort of people who, you tell them good news and you can see the expression. You ever seen that sort of people? You can see the expression. It's like you tell them good news and they're like, inside they're saying, oh, well done, but then they go back inside and they're like, cursing you under their breath, Or the sort of person you tell them bad news, something bad happened, just lost my job, just got cut from my team, and they sort of say, oh, that's a shame, but then they go inside and glow. You want to get away from those sort of people. It can't be a good life, if you're in a situation where your gratification comes from someone's misfortune. It can't be good for them. So get around good people, and you're quite fortunate to have good people and how much it means to him, for you guys to succeed. And the coaches, you've got great coaches at the academy. I'll tell you what you need to hear. And so will Tony, and so will your coaches. Because they can say, you're great, you're fantastic, you're a great player. You could play for anyone you want to. Who's going to say that to you? But you go on the field and you get beaten 5. What do you do then? Sorry, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you're going to tell people to this is what you've got to do. You might not like to say that. Improve your left foot, improve your heading, get in the gym. You might not like to hear what you want to hear. And that's not sort of, in an ego way saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. That's purely objectively. Okay? Any player that's with me and you speak to them, even the ones who are playing at the highest level, will all... Keep it going, that's fine. It'll be coach trying to get through, it's fine. Okay, so get around people who want the best for you and you want the best for them. That's crucial. You've got to do that. That is paramount. If you don't do that, you're going to get a situation where you just get these hangers on. And you can tell any player that I work with, any player that I work with that, you tell them straight, and that's what the coaches will do. So if you get information after the tour, this is what you need to improve on. Take it as a positive, okay? Take it as a positive. The other thing is why. The fuel that burns your fire, okay? That's the fuel that burns your fire. The why is key. Okay, why do you want to succeed? You've got to really want it. You've got to be a strong enough why. I want you to write down a list of why. 5 reasons why you want it. Or maybe make a mental note. What's the fuel that burns your fire? Why do you want to sort of succeed? And this is not just in here, in football. This is in life in general. I'm not just talking about football here. I'm also talking about life in general. You can transfer these skills to academic as well. Because academics is important. It's important you do well at school. Because only about 0.1% will become pro footballers. It's important you do well academically. You can do a business, you can do whatever, you know. And I was speaking to a lad and his dad a couple of weeks ago. He came around to my house. He's probably watching the stream now, actually. And he was telling me how his lad didn't make it as a pro. You know, and you know, Paul's probably watching the stream and he won't be saying it, but he said now he's got a big business in New York. He's doing really well. He went to America, did a college thing, and he did really, really well. And I'll mention him because of all the players I've worked with, he was a lad that had the right attitude. I don't think he was fortunate in the football world. I think football can be very ruthless, and he didn't get where he should have got to. But that's life. You get on with it. But he decided to get a college degree in the States, all paid for. Now he's got a big business out there because he sort of transfers those principles to life. So you'll find yourself in this world. Okay, football's only 5, 10 years, 15 at best. What do you do afterwards? Anyway. Okay, so find the why do you want to. What's going to get you up in the morning when everyone else gives up? You know, why do you do 10 reps? Why does everybody else just, you know what, do nothing at all? I don't have a great deal to go in there. But what I want you to do is I'm going to get you to practice rehearsal because we're sort of pushing the time now. I want you to sort of, in your own mind, just rehearse your technique. Okay, so it could be technique, striking the ball in your mind, arms out for balance, head over the ball, practice your technique, rehearse the game. Every one of my players, I get them every week, every year when they work with me, to get a fixture list, okay, and plan every game. How are you going to play it? How are you going to play against him, her, whoever, you know, they're working. And why am I planning every game? Because you then play it once in your mind, they haven't played. Who's got the better chance, do you think? And we go to the ground the day before and have a walk around. Because the brain likes familiarity. I'm talking neuroscience here. I'm talking what we've discovered through MRI, through technology. I'm not talking sort of, you know, this stuff that's sort of hearsay. I feel safer. And they play better. So by visualizing the players you play against, you can build neural pathways in the brain. And I'm going to sort of email you, if you send me your details, some details on how you can do that process. Okay? Rehearsal. All the best athletes do it. There's been studies, research in America where you got three groups of basketball players, the one who practiced the free throw line physically, the one who practiced mentally, and the one who don't practice. Who do you think improves the most in 6 weeks?
Mentally.
That's right, because they do the technique right. I'm not saying airy-fairy visualization, I'm saying rehearsing what you've got to do. I had a working player one time, and he had a condition called Osgood Schlatters. I'm not a medical person, I work in psychology, okay? And he couldn't train, and what I did, I got him to visualize his training every day and do what he could do physically, okay? Because he couldn't train. So I visualized left foot, visualized heading, visualize this, visualize that. Okay? By the time he was up for contract, he actually got a contract. It was in the lower league. But equally, he'd improved more than anyone, technically. And that's pretty amazing stuff. Just through mental working. Physically, he was a bit short. But I spoke to the physio and said, can you do like rowing machine stuff that's not impact on knees? So that's how powerful it is. So rehearse is key. Rehearse for your exams as well, if you go to school. Okay? Rehearse for, you've got an interview, a presentation. Build pathways in the brain. Really important stuff. Really, really important stuff. And you might think, well, why aren't they teaching me this at school? And I'm not having out teachers. There's probably teachers in the group. I've been a teacher myself. It's because the schooling system, in my opinion, is outdated. It needs evolution, not revolution. It's an old system-based industrial revolution. We have technology now, okay, which is great. It's not great when someone tries to call you on when you're doing a seminar trying to do a stream, but it's great that you can stream. So the point being is that it's moved so fast, technology. The young people are struggling to learn in the conventional methods. You know, the visual conventional methods, they need a different system. That's factual, okay? And I'm not going to go and teach us the system, but you can't wait for them to change, because that could take forever. You've got to sort of do what you can, okay, to get there. because that could take a long time to change. So you've got to be on the forefront. Okay, I consult some of the big, the best managers in the league. I have people coming up to me, like the leading sports science, the biggest club in the world, asking me questions like, how can I reduce cortisol in the system of the footballers? And I put in the think tank things like mental rehearsal, decompression, relaxation, important things that you should do too, as young people. You know, mindfulness, being in the moment, meditation, just to sort of decompress. Because we've got the Google generation now. And what the Google generation is to me is you have all the answers because you can type it in the internet. But you learn from experience. So you can tell me, you know, what the capital is in probably any country in the world. You can Google it. You can tell me through Google many, many facts. But what you can't tell me is experience. Because you learn from experience. You can't tell me what it's like to be in situations where I have to experience to learn. Okay, and experience is key. Okay, you can't tell someone in Google what it's like to get beat 5-0. You can't tell someone in Google what it's like not to get a decision by the referee. You can't tell someone in Google what it's like to lose your job. What it's like to try and feed the family. What it's like to, all the things that life throws at you. Because, you know, I don't want to sound negative, but the reality is life is tough. You know, it's not that sort of party where you go outside and everyone's going to be every fair wishy-washy with you. They ain't going to be that way. Okay, when you graduate from school, you're competing for jobs. You're competing for so many things. It's not easy. Okay, and it's important to work on yourself mentally, to take the challenges. Everyone these days talks about the easy way, the easy life. There is no damn easy life. If you focus on the easy life, you end up being a flake. You've got to build your strength up to take things that come your way, because life isn't fair. In my field, in what I do, I've seen some of the most horrendous things. I used to work with high-risk offenders, the worst 3% in the country with huge behavioural problems. And I can sort of tell you some things that go on in this world is crazy. I can't make sense of it. I can't make sense of why, you know, some children are born with illnesses. I can't make sense of why some people have so much misfortune. But if I dwell on it, you get disempowered. What I think is we've got to do something to sort of sort the wrongs from the right, if we can. So the point I'm trying to make here is that work on your mental skills. Really important. And get in your peak state as well. Before we sort of move towards the end, before we go out there, and give you a run out, man. You've been on a plane for so long, you want to get out there and just feel the grass and that sort of stuff. And that young man over there, can you stop talking, please? That young man. Okay. But, you know, there we go. I've scarred him for life now. Yeah, no, he's a good boy. And the thing is really, think about who are you at your best, okay? It's about you being at your best. Feel it. You know, when I go into certain things, I feel nervous too sometimes. You know, I go in to do talks at universities and there's all sorts of people. I tour the world, I do talks and that sort of stuff. People say, are you not nervous sometimes? Yeah, for sure, definitely, you know. Because you know that people are like listening to what you say, you do research sort of stuff. You know, you do. When I work on football, I work at the highest level, of course you do. Because you care. You know, and you don't want to sort of like, you know, put all the effort in and not get anywhere. But you focus on being you at your best. Okay? When you're at your best, and I always think, get yourself a greatest hits package where focus on all the things you do well. I don't want to ever go to school again, but I focus too much on what you don't do well. If you focus on 5 out of 10, you got 5 wrong, you feel demoralized. You focus on the 5 you got right, I got 5 right, and get 6 right, you feel better. So focus on what you do well. In our world, we focus too much on negative performance. I was working one time at Premiership Club, and they consulted me, and they said, can you help us turn the season around? When I went in there, you know, in the team coach, they had like those, you know, the little videos you got like on the plane? They would watch the opposition players. They would watch the opposition players and see the opposition, the best things they would do. I was like, what in the world you got that for? Get rid of that now. Because you're putting that into the players' heads. Okay? If you're going to watch someone else, watch what you can do against them. So I want you to think about your best performances, guys. Think of the best things you've done. And recall them, remember them. And if you've done that, you can do other things. Okay, even challenges you've had. Think of how you can dig deep and you can overcome things. So think about the best games you've had. Write it down. Take a moment to think about that. Okay. The final point I want to make too is watch other people. When you watch a game, don't watch it as a fan if you want to be a professional player. The parents in the group can watch as a fan unless they want to make a comeback. But some of you guys look a bit too old to make a comeback. Yeah, never too old. Never too old. There's a comeback. Tony will make a comeback. There's a club in Manchester that could do if I won't go there after the result on the weekend. But the thing is that, and the point is that you know, watch it as a professional. Okay, I always tell my players, I text or send them messages. I say, what would you do against him? What would you do against her? What would you do? At the World Cup, I told my players, my stable I work with every year, watch it as a professional. Okay? Watch it as if, like, what would you do against that person if you were playing against them? Okay? How would you mark Ronaldo? How would you run against, Piqué? How would you play against them? One day you might be surprised. You might actually be playing against them. Okay? I've worked with players in years gone by, and that's actually happened. They've gone to the world stage. I'm not going to sort of rattle off. There's a list of them. Lowest players I've worked with gone the highest level. The point being is that it can happen, but also you'll improve your game. Okay? You will improve your game. It's so important you do that. Watch what they do. What can you do as well? Okay? If they can do it, why not you? Why can't you make it? If they're at the highest level, they're not successful because they've not done the best they could do. If they're honest with themselves, they have not done the best they can. They've underachieved. And there's some players that I work with in semi-pro league who are successful but they've done the best they can. The most of their potential. Wherever you end up is wherever you'll end up, guys. But don't leave anything in the tank. And watch, play, learn, think about how you'd work against them, and go from there. Well, that's one of the first things I did when I went back into football full time. I went to every big club and took all their results physically. How would that physical fitness test? And I got my players to get to that level first of all. Okay? I got back into football. I've been out for a year. I took a job in League 2. The first thing I did was I went to all the big clubs. Where are they physically, the best players? And you'll see some of the research I did. I took heart rate monitors. I monitored the Premiership players, lower league players, what the heart rate was, what the sprint tests were. And I said to my players, what you can do straight away, guys, is get to that level physically. Then it's a game against tactic and technical. And everyone's like, well, Jim, these lads, they haven't got the talent. They're not good enough. The same rubbish I hear all the time, and we punched above our weight. We were beating teams that were much higher than what we are, and our individual players would go on to the highest level, some of them, against all the odds. Because I know if you're as good as him physically, or her physically, fitness test, then we can work on technical, tactical, psychological, break the game down. But I want to find who is working at the best. So I got these results, I study them, I share them. Years ago, when Tony was setting up, we even spoke about that. These are where the players are. That's the benchmark. If you haven't got the physical side, you haven't got anything. I don't care how good you are, technically, tactically, if you're not physically, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay? So get the physical side. If you need any results, then drop us an email. Tony is well up on that. The training he does is different class. It really is. And I think that's the sort of key. Get to that level. You've got the best chance. The final point I want to make before we sort of get out there is always sort of, keep a degree of humbleness about you. Okay? It's so important. People think, well, why is that important? Because I've seen players I've known since they're that big. Some of them, the majority of them have been, you see them and you speak to them, they're wonderful people. Wonderful human beings. In the sense that, the way they conduct themselves and they're doing the best they can. You do come across certain people who think they start believing in their own myth. Okay? I tell you now, as individuals, not in football, not in anything, from a person to person, do not be in awe of anybody. Admire people, but there is no one who is any better than you, and you're not better than anybody else. People say to me, well, you go to consultancies, you speak to Premiership managers, you go to big businesses, and you're the same as you are when you're just on you're going for a meal or whatever, because you don't need to change. You adapt, obviously professionally, But the degree of humbleness is really important. Because once you start letting that get to your head, then that's when the spiral goes down. I've seen a lot of people, professionally, not just in sport, once they start believing in their own myth, and they've got all these people inflating their ego, that's when they start to go down. And remember that as players, that when you're on your journey, what I love about this academy is the players who have gone on have maintained that degree of humbleness. Okay? Which is important. Really, really important for them, and important for other people who sort of see as role models. Important stuff, you know. You're never too big to, you know, sign an autograph, to do things, to give a talk, to go into a school. Really important stuff, because, you know, if you can sort of give something back, then it's important, because you plant that tree for generations to come along. It's key. You know, society is not perfect, but there's a lot of positive things too, you know. People say to me sometimes, you must have a fortunate life, because they watch the social media, I post stuff on there every now and again. I said, no, not really, because there's enough bad news in the news. You know, I've got a life like anybody else. I go through loads of stuff. Don't worry about that. I don't feel the point in putting it out there, because you turn the news on the radio, I'm just like, what's going to end every day? So share your good news, guys. Don't be afraid to share your good news because people want to Machiavellian and say you're bragging, whatever. No. If you write a book, then share it. If you sort of play well, then share it. It might not be a lot to anybody else, but it's a lot to you. Why not? Celebrate your success. Really important you do that. We live in the world these days, people say, you know what, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying brag, but there's a fine line. You say, you know what, I worked hard for this. You know, I did a seminar recently, and this young lad come to me afterwards, and he said to me, he shared his sort of, he passed a grade in a black belt grading in Taekwondo, and he said I was the first person he told outside some of his family, because he was too ashamed to put it out there, that what people would think. And seriously, I got so emotional when he said that, because I thought, you know what, how sad is it that people are too afraid after all that hard work to say something done really, really good. You know, you've got a lad that has worked so hard against the odds, and he's too afraid to share it because people are going to say, you know what, it's not good. And that's the world over these days. You know, and I think that on a final note, one thing you got to remember, you know, and I think as parents, we all got to remember this, as teachers, as coaches, the maturation age of young people, mentally, neurologically, isn't until about 24, 25 years of age. Teenagers feel the same emotions we feel as adults. They don't have the processing power in the neocortex to process like we do. And like a parent told me the other day, he was telling me that his sort of teenager was struggling with certain things. And I said, well, we've all been there, as teenagers too. So I'm not saying mollycoddle the young people, but certainly keep an eye out for that as well. And I do that a lot when I go to schools, and I mention that because we're so transfixed on, you know, pushing them. You see it in academic schools, and you can imagine when I did a talk in the school and they were preparing for their exams, I said, you know what, go out and play sport, enjoy yourselves, be happy, because if you can't be damn happy now, you'll never be happy. And the teacher's like, it's a high achieving school, and they're like, you're not really supposed to say that. I'm like, no, I'll say that, because their welfare is more important than you putting a banner on your school saying how great your school is. They will do better if they feel better in themselves. If you're going to pressurize it, it's like you're putting a lid on a pressure cooker, they won't do as well. Okay? Go out there and do your best. If you don't get through, then you'll do something else and you'll get there. I wasn't the most academic at school. I was really poor in that respect, but it didn't stop me from writing a number of best-selling books and being a lifelong learner at university. And people saying, well, he's got more qualifications, blah, blah, whatever, really. Because if you really want it, you'll do it. And that's the important thing for me. So that's all I've got to say. I want to get out there now and do a bit. And I brought a coach with me today. He's probably been trying to get a hold of me. He's worked at the highest level, this coach, international level. He's been my friend for many, many years. He's an international coach. He's had a number of caps internationally. I'm pretty sure it was him trying to get a hold of me. We're going to go out there and have a bit of a run and go from there.
Last question?
Yeah, of course, yeah, for sure.
Okay. You've been in the industry for a long time. A lot of players and parents get sucked in by clubs that tell them what they want to hear.
Definitely.
They try and suck them in to a club.
Yeah, it happens all the time, and agents too. Agents are the same. Yeah, I mean, in the day, you got to look at their position, you know. Everyone from their own perspective thinks that they're right, you know. They probably think that but you've got to think about the agenda. So, you know, it's easy to get your head turned. It really is. But that's when you've got to make a good decision. You know, people give promises all the time, man. I've heard it all before. You know, promises. We used to get it before in the lower leagues. League 2. Okay? You see one of our players, and it's hard when you've got a big club in the Premiership knocking on the door. And so I said to the player, stay with us. I would never get in the way of a player doing well, but I know first team football is better than reserve team football at the higher level, because first team football is competitive. And they think straight away their heads get turned. And the trouble is they think, you know what, they get sold on the idea. But, you know, there's no shortcuts in life. You've got to put the hard work in. And always be wary, you know, about people who sort of promise you the earth. You can do this, we'll do that, we'll do whatever, you know. Really important point, that. It really is, you know. Because you're going to get that throughout your career, irrespective of what level you play, and life in general. You know, it really is. Being loyal to the people who are loyal to you is key. I think so. I don't think people get very far in life if they sort of, you know, you might get one over on someone one time, but you won't get through, for sure. Good point, Tony.
I want to say something in regards to Jimmy. Something you guys don't know, Jimmy actually, he pointed out at the Cabsy, for being at the academy 8 years ago. He pointed him out, and Jimmy pointed out Mitch Duke, because them two were good players when they were younger. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, definitely.
They were like 12. He picked them out. Obviously knows his football.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I think having been in the game for so long, and you know, I'd like to hope I can sort of have a look and have an eye for a player, but then other players surprise you too. Some players, you know, you look at, you think, you know what, I'm not so sure, but they go on and all the better, you know, if they do that. And you know, there's a number of players I've been with over the years who surprised me too. And you know, anything's possible in life. You just got to back yourself, believe in yourself, and see what happens. You know, that's the sort of key. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. Here we go, my sales pitch now. So every leading retailer on Amazon, on Amazon. Yeah. And drop me an email too. I've got loads of resources I can send you, by the way. I've got loads of stuff I can email you across as well, resource-wise. You know, if I can help any way I can for you to get you where you want to get to, because that's what I think in life. It's about, you know, I help you go where you want to go. You help me go where I want to go. That's what it's all about. You know, in the end, really. I think that, you know, collectively working together as a team is good for everybody, and it's great to see. I mean, from you know, I've been in situations like yourselves. You know, young. It's not easy. You're doing your best you can, and hopefully, you know, in life you can look back and think that, you know, you managed to do something that's helped someone in a little way get there. I mean, sometimes players say stuff. You know, I've seen players say stuff. Media, the interviews have talked about, you know. Like Tony says there, my contribution to the success, and I don't sort of take in that. They've done the work, I haven't done anything. All I've done is just use my experience and expertise to share some knowledge, and they take it. And then you do the job, you know. It's not down to anything that I do or say. As a professional, I feel honoured to work with professionals in sport, in business, and in general, some of the best people in the field of that I work in the mine. So I'm quite fortunate to be mentored by some great people over the years. So yeah.
So yeah. A few things I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in regards to how Jimmy was saying about the mental thing, think about it before you do it. Okay. Who's ever watched me take free kicks before, back when I used to play? You did? Okay. The way I used to score my free kicks, and I used to score probably 95%. Anytime there's a free kick, I used to score probably 95% of the goal. It was going to be a goal, definitely. He taught me. What I used to do is I always put the ball down, and I'll prepare